Hey there, welcome back to Mr. Classik. Today we're talking about hard to find parts. Zork, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you.
Now, what are we talking about with hard to find parts on restorations?
This you come across quite frequently with certain cars where you just can't find the parts. They're not available OE anymore, and they're not available aftermarket. So you gotta source used parts, and certain ones, they were just horrible to begin with, so you just can't find anything good. Do you remember when we did that 66 Mustang and we needed those inside sail panels?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember how hard it was for us to source those parts, and how I went to a swap meet and had to meet a Mustang specialist there and
have you buy the parts
and overpay? Let's bring that to the viewers' attention there.
Yes, overpaying for parts is a reality we have to figure out and we have to deal with. Where did you go? You went to a swap meet?
Daytona swap meet.
Daytona swap meet.
Which we met, I don't know who it was, Classic Mustang or some company like that for the parts. And they were the only ones that had the parts, if I recall. I think you called several places for those parts.
And no one had them in stock.
No one had them. They had them.
One guy had them in stock, and he was asking 10 times value, what they were worth. And if you're restoring a car that needs to get done,
what are you going to do?
Either you got to do it, or you just don't do it.
The car doesn't go back together with the parts. That's one thing that a lot of the viewers, they have to consider is when you're working on a car, you need to know what's available and what's not available. That's I think what happens a lot when people bring us a car is they bring us a car to look at, and we go and look at the car, and some of us already know where there's going to be a shortage of parts, and then we're like, man, we're going to have a hard time finding these parts. That car, I remember, we had such a hard time finding the parts, and a lot of the aftermarket parts for that car were just, the quality was just not there. On a high dollar build, you don't want to put some of these aftermarket parts on it.
Agreed. Now, vehicles that we've done that have required a bunch of hard to find parts. I can tell you one off the bat.
I already know what's coming, but go ahead.
Lincoln Continental 61 to 65
62,
Lincolns,
63.
suicide door cars.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible for parts replacements. They are phenomenal cars, and they are super sleek.
That is true.
Super sleek, super stylish, convertible cars, suicide door. I mean, I love these cars, but just when you're doing a restoration or repairs on them, the parts are just, they're nowhere.
You remember when we needed a grill?
Oh my goodness,
grill.
I can't. I don't even want to remember.
It was same thing. You're calling places.
Window motors.
Window motors. Window
convertible
switches.
Convertible top parts and trunk lid. Adjustment and parts. Limit switches.
All those switches inside there. All those switches. You almost have to rebuild them.
Nightmare.
Yeah. But that is also why those cars are expensive. Because the lack of the parts for them inherently brings up the value of the car. So you have a car where everything works, that's why that guy wants a lot of money for that car. And then the guy who's got it for a quarter the price, you know you're going to be spending a lot of money for parts. And you're going to have to pay for those parts, just like we did on that Mustang.
Agreed.
Same deal there. We couldn't finish the car without those parts. You got to bite the bullet, you got to do it. So that's one thing you have to consider when you're looking at a car is how available are the parts. And even if a part is available aftermarket, that's not always the greatest choice. Maybe for a daily driver, for a car you're just trying to flip and make some money on, something like that. But for a car you're trying to keep, I know any of the cars that I own, I prefer to have OE parts on it, without a doubt. So I know a lot of the cars you can't complete without getting aftermarket parts. But like I said, me personally, I'd rather put a quality factory part that fits better. It looks original. Some of this aftermarket stuff doesn't even look. It doesn't even look like it did factory.
Well,
Some of the stuff you go and put a trim piece on and you lightly tap it down and the thing is bent to crap after that.
Well, I will tell you. What do we have up here? We have a 78 Z28.
Yes.
Very, very common car. And you know as well as I do, we put this car together for my dad. And
He
how
had-
many aftermarket parts have we had to use on this car?
Very few.
Because
He had most of them.
he had most
He
of
had
them.
most of them.
He had most of them.
Yeah, and the few pieces we needed, they were just generic parts like a timing tab. That was all basic stuff. But that's why the car looks as good as it does. Carpet,
I
that's
agree.
no big deal. Carpet, that's no big deal and stuff like that. But a lot of the trim panels, they fit really, really good. The car looks really good as far as the way the whole car fits and the way it went together. You have that advantage. You have that advantage on it.
Which is one of the reasons why I enjoy building them. Not only because I have a passion for them. I think the Lincoln is more the thorn in my side. But we still love the Lincolns.
We got to love them because we get so many of them.
We get so many of them.
It's just something you got to deal with. You know what? I'd like to know what kind of parts or cars that you can't get parts for. I'd like to hear what other cars have these same kind of problems. So reply it in the comments.
Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you on the next episode.
Subscribe to Mr. Classik YouTube channel for more episodes.